Welcome to Hero Villains. In your opinion, who will win when Gladiator versus Doomsday? When Cosmic Will confronts the nightmare of destruction. Gladiator, the leader of the Shi'ar Imperial Guard, is a warrior who possesses nearly limitless power thanks to his absolute belief in himself. When his will does not waver, Gladiator can lift planets, move at speeds beyond light, endure attacks on a cosmic scale, and unleash devastating energy blasts from his eyes. He is not only physically powerful, but also a symbol of honor, discipline, and responsibility, making every strike carry the cold decisiveness of an empire's protector. Doomsday is a living nightmare, an entity born solely to destroy. He lacks complex tactical intelligence, but compensates with overwhelming physical strength and the ability to adapt and evolve after every defeat. Doomsday can endure attacks that have killed Superman and return even stronger, becoming immune to the very methods that once destroyed him. Before we dive deeper into the analysis, please press the subscribe button and remember to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you very much. Howlark, widely known by the codename Gladiator, is one of the most terrifying symbols of power of the Shi'ar Empire in the universe. He is not only a warrior, but the embodiment of faith, honor, and the will of an entire extraterrestrial civilization. Born a Strontian, Howlark possesses a physique far beyond ordinary species, yet it is the path he chose that truly turned him into a legend. Howlark once held the position of praetor of the Shi'ar Imperial Guard, the elite force that protects the throne. He was an absolutely loyal servant, placing the survival of the Empire above his own existence. When the Shi'ar-Kree War ended in tragedy, Lilandra and Vulcan were believed to be dead and the Empire fell into chaos and despair. In that darkest moment, the Shi'ar people chose Howlark not because of ambition for power, but because of the unbreakable faith he represented. From a warrior, he was elevated to the position of supreme commander, bearing the fate of the entire Empire on his shoulders. The power of the Gladiator transformed Howlark into an almost unstoppable entity. He can survive in the vacuum of space, endure the crushing pressure of deep space, and unleash blows powerful enough to shake warships. His strength lies not only in muscle, but in his absolute belief in himself. When his spirit is firm, Gladiator is nearly invincible. Even seasoned warriors like Econ, the Galadorian Space Knight, rank Gladiator at the Alpha Plus level, reserved only for beings at the pinnacle of cosmic power. More remarkably, Howlark also possesses rare psionic abilities, allowing him to maintain the structural integrity of massive objects, preventing them from collapsing under their own weight. This is not merely physical strength, but the manifestation of will imposed upon reality. Gladiator's physical power has always been an enigma that makes the entire universe wary. No one can determine Howlark's true upper limits because that power comes not only from his Strontian physiology, but also from his spirit and belief. The steadier his will and the more absolute his self-confidence, the more terrifying Gladiator becomes, as if reality itself must yield before that unshakable conviction. Gladiator fights with everything he has, leaving behind extraordinary feats. When facing the Fantastic Four, Howlark once tore the Baxter Building straight out of the ground, turning an icon of Earth science into a temporary weapon. His punches do not merely defeat opponents, but are powerful enough to shatter entire planets, causing their surfaces to fracture like glass. Colossus was defeated with ease, while the Thing lost all ability to fight after only 2 punches, showing the frightening disparity between them. Gladiator has even displayed dominance over godlike entities. He once stopped Hyperion's punch with a single palm, then focused his full power to break his opponent's back. Vulcan, an Omega level mutant, also fell when one of his eyes was gouged out, and he was beaten unconscious in Howlark's fury. These feats are not only proof of strength, but also a warning that Gladiator is not someone to be underestimated. Howlark is powerful enough to push planets out of orbit and cause stars to collapse from within. He has matched the Hulk in raw strength, and his son Kubark even claimed to have witnessed his father tearing apart a black hole. One of the most impressive moments occurred when Gladiator stopped an explosion capable of wiping out half a solar system. He did not merely endure it, but actively restrained and suppressed the blast, proving he had expended all of his power. Gladiator has been confirmed as equal to Beta Ray Bill, a warrior who can stand alongside Thor, and Thor, in the eyes of eternity, is a genuine threat to the structure of the universe. That alone shows that Gladiator is not simply a powerful warrior, but one of the most terrifying pillars of power. The speed and reflexes of Howlark reach a level where time itself seems meaningless before his will. Gladiator once caught a bullet fired from a weapon with tremendous destructive power just moments before it could reach Vulcan, reacting within only a few nanoseconds as if he had already foreseen that instant. He can block Hyperion's punch almost the moment the thought to attack is formed, and he has even dodged a photon beam fired at point-blank range by Galactus himself, something very few beings in the universe are capable of doing. He can analyze a living body down to the smallest detail, counting billions of microscopic organisms guarding it within only a few brief seconds. When he enters combat mode, his speed is sufficient to cross the vast distances between galaxies and strike Heimdall before the opponent can even realize what has happened. Gladiator can maintain peak combat intensity for many consecutive days until toxins accumulated in his blood begin to erode his strength. Even when temporarily brought down, his recovery ability still demonstrates clear superiority. Calorc is nearly absolute in durability. He can withstand heavy caliber gunfire, violent explosions, falls from extreme heights, and the blows of top-tier super beings such as Hulk or Hyperion while continuing to fight. Gladiator survives in the vacuum of space without support, endures extreme temperatures, and flies through stars without suffering harm. One of Calorc's most terrifying abilities lies in his eyes, where he can unleash energy beams compressed to an extreme degree. These energy rays carry unimaginable heat so intense that it cannot be accurately measured. They have been described as hotter than the surface of stars and are powerful enough to burn the skin of Hulk, a being famous for his near-limitless endurance. In one intense confrontation, these thermal rays even paralyzed Hyperion's atomic vision, creating a violent explosion that temporarily rendered both warriors unable to fight, as if the surrounding space itself had been torn apart. Gladiator's senses also reach an extraordinary level. He can observe objects and structures so small that they surpass even the subatomic boundary, seeing details that most other beings cannot even conceive. Calorc also possesses the ability to generate a powerful resistance against telepathic attacks and mental probing, forcing those who attempt to invade his mind to pay a heavy price. When injured, Gladiator's regenerative ability reveals the true nature of a nearly immortal warrior. His body can repair its own cells, and in many cases, destroyed tissues are regenerated. However, this power still has limits, as it cannot restore organs or limbs that have been completely lost. He has existed for centuries, bearing the marks of countless battles, yet his appearance and strength have hardly diminished. To Calorc, time seems to be only a faint concept, while will and power are what truly endure alongside him in the vast universe. I truly hope you will subscribe to the channel. It helps us a great deal, and you are absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. Now let us talk about Doomsday. Doomsday was not a creature born of nature, but the cold result of an inhumane experiment. On ancient Krypton, the scientist Bertrand created this entity with a single purpose: to test the limits of life itself. From the moment he existed in an infant state, Doomsday was repeatedly thrown into the harshest environments where death was inevitable for any normal being. Again and again he was killed and then recreated in a cruel, endless cycle. That process transformed Doomsday into a living nightmare. Each time he was destroyed, he did not merely return, but evolved perfectly, adapting to the very cause that had killed him before. Every form of damage ever inflicted on him became meaningless in the next rebirth. If there was an enemy powerful enough to defeat Doomsday, that moment only served as a stepping stone for his return, in an even more terrifying form. Over time, Doomsday became an entity capable of surviving in any environment and destroying any life that stood in his way. That power eventually exceeded Bertrand's control. Doomsday broke free from his chains and began a path of destruction across the universe. His journey led him to Earth, where he encountered Superman for the first time. That meeting was not merely a battle, but a collision between the symbol of hope and the embodiment of absolute destruction. From that moment, Doomsday became a deep-rooted nightmare in the history of Earth itself. The strength and durability of Doomsday have always made him one of the most terrifying threats in existence. This is not a form of power based on skill or strategy, but raw, pure, and nearly unbreakable force. Doomsday is almost immune to most forms of physical damage, and when he enters combat, he displays physical strength sufficient to confront Superman head-on without being overwhelmed. Doomsday has left behind a series of devastating feats. He once tore apart a region within the Phantom Zone where space and reality themselves were distorted. With sheer personal power, Doomsday slaughtered thousands of Green Lantern's warriors wielding power rings who were considered the guardians of the universe. He also endured an explosion equivalent to 100 nuclear bombs, a clear demonstration of his near absolute resilience. Even godlike entities cannot afford to underestimate Doomsday. He withstood the Omega beams of Darkseid, a being who had displayed power on a multiversal level and then went on to kill him directly. Not stopping there, Doomsday defeated the entire Justice League, the most powerful team of superheroes on Earth who were accustomed to facing threats beyond reality. In his brutal battle with Superman, Doomsday endured more than 4,000 consecutive punches and still continued advancing like an unstoppable nightmare. The presence of Doomsday is often compared to a mindless version of the Hulk, but far more dangerous because he is not governed by emotion or morality. Doomsday easily snapped Wonder Woman's arm, and even during her rebirth era, the Amazon warrior was left stunned by a single punch. Doomsday does not require strategy or words. He exists solely to destroy, and it is that silence that makes him most terrifying. The confrontation between Doomsday and Superman in the New 52 era clearly demonstrates the uncontrollable destructive nature of Doomsday. Their battle was so violent that it shattered an entire moon in the Bizarro universe, where reality itself was already twisted and became even more chaotic. Superman once delivered a devastating punch that sent Doomsday flying straight to Venus, but that did nothing to end the rage. On the contrary, Doomsday rose again, carrying an unrelenting desire to continue fighting as if pain itself were fuel feeding his fury. Even though Superman defeated Doomsday on Venus, the threat was far from over. The moment he returned to Earth, Doomsday appeared once again, stronger and more dangerous than before. Zod's punches caused absolutely no damage, and even Wonder Woman's sword, capable of cutting at the atomic level, became useless against that endlessly evolving body. Every time Doomsday appears, everything around him is erased, leaving behind deadly silence. Only the New 52 Superman was able to endure the toxic mist created by Doomsday for a brief period of time. The most terrifying aspect lies in his constant adaptation and evolution. Each time he is defeated, Doomsday becomes stronger and more dangerous. He can even launch sharp bone fragments from his knuckle joints, turning his own body into a weapon capable of injuring Superman even when Superman is empowered by a mother box. Eventually, faced with uncontrollable devastation, Superman and Wave Rider were forced to send Doomsday to the end of time to stop him because there was no other option. Even Radiant, an entity composed of pure energy, was torn in half by Doomsday after once fighting him on equal footing. That moment stands as clear proof of the terrifying evolutionary power of Doomsday. He is not merely an enemy, but a living catastrophe, where every battle only brings him closer to a perfect form of destruction. If something kills him once, it will not be able to kill him again, and he will either immediately recover or become completely impervious to it. He can survive in space and even function while in a vacuum vortices and wormholes, and he does not require oxygen, water, or any nutrients to sustain life. He cannot fly, but thanks to extremely dense muscles and immense strength in his legs, he can leap for miles at a time. Superman took advantage of this in their first battle by attempting to keep him airborne. Superman also used this ability to his advantage by throwing Doomsday into a lake to slow him down. Doomsday's claws appear to have the ability to tear through space itself. In the New 52, he was able to pierce the Phantom Zone. The Phantom Zone, also known as Hell, exists in a higher plane of existence, a vast realm comparable to heaven, and is itself a multiverse. Hell lies within the circle of the gods beyond the Speed Force wall, making this feat in the universe even more impressive than Superboy Prime punching through the Speed Force. In any case, this demonstrates that he can tear apart dimensions if he chooses to do so. The confrontation between Gladiator, Kallark, and Doomsday has always been considered one of the most unpredictable when comparing power. These two warriors represent two completely different paths of evolution. One stands as the pinnacle of innate strength, combat skill, and reaction speed. The other is the embodiment of endlessly evolving destruction, growing more dangerous the more it is defeated. Gladiator enters the battle with clear advantages in speed, skill, and overwhelming offensive capability. Kallark's blows carry tremendous destructive force enough to stun Doomsday in the opening moments. His thought speed movement allows Gladiator to maintain constant support superiority, while his X-ray laser vision with immense heat output can inflict severe damage, forcing Doomsday to regenerate repeatedly. If he fully exploits this tempo, Gladiator can completely pressure his opponent and deny him any effective chance to counterattack. However, Doomsday is not an opponent easily subdued. Every wound he suffers becomes the foundation for his next stage of evolution. After each recovery, Doomsday's body gradually adapts to the attacks that once caused him pain, making repeated techniques increasingly ineffective. If Gladiator cannot finish him with a decisive blow early on, the tide of battle will begin to turn. Doomsday will grow stronger, tougher, and more dangerous until he is capable of overpowering Callark himself. Even so, many fans still lean toward Gladiator's chances of victory. His natural power, combat flexibility, and the mindset of a seasoned warrior could allow Callark to find a way to defeat or restrain Doomsday before the adaptation process is complete. In short, Battle's Gladiator clearly holds the advantage. But if the fight is prolonged, Doomsday will gradually turn it into his own stage where he becomes a force that is nearly impossible to defeat. Gladiator attempts to throw Doomsday into a black hole, but Doomsday adapts to the vacuum and returns stronger with tougher skin and increased speed. Gladiator uses freezing breath to encase Doomsday in ice, but he breaks free and attacks with even greater ferocity. Gladiator, whose confidence drops severely after failing to put Doomsday down, becomes weaker and is ultimately crushed in the final clash. Doomsday kills Gladiator by impaling him through the chest. The winner is Doomsday. I hope you enjoyed this battle. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Follow me if you enjoyed it. That is today's video. Thank you very much.